Have you ever noticed how the moment you pull away, the moment you stop chasing, suddenly she looks at you differently? It's almost like respect is born in the silence of your absence, not in the noise of your constant presence. Women don't respect men because they give everything. They respect men because they know he can walk away. And that's the secret most men never realize. Your power isn't in holding on, it's in letting go. Respect is not earned through sacrifice, it's earned through self-control. Let that sink in for a moment, because too many men confuse love with slavery. They think the more they sacrifice, the more they bend, the more they give up their own needs and desires, the more a woman will respect them. But it doesn't work like that. In fact, it backfires because sacrifice without boundaries is weakness, and weakness never earns respect. Think about it. If every time she asks, you give. If every time she complains, you fix. If every time she wants something, you jump, you cancel your plans, you rearrange your life, what message are you sending? You're saying, my world revolves around you, and I will do anything to keep you. And at first she might appreciate it. At first she might even enjoy it. But deep down, something shifts. Because respect is not built on desperation. Respect is built on restraint. A woman doesn't respect the man who sacrifices his identity for her comfort. She respects the man who has the discipline to say no. The man who doesn't give everything away just to be liked. The man who can love her deeply, but still stand firm in who he is. That's self-control, that's strength. Let's be real here. Sacrifice is easy when it comes from fear. When you're afraid of losing her, you'll give her anything. You'll bend your back, you'll break your spirit, you'll sacrifice your dreams just to keep her close. That's not love, that's fear. And fear never commands respect. Self-control, on the other hand, is different. Self-control is when you choose not to overreact, not to overgive, not to lose yourself, even when you want to. It's when you could sacrifice, but you don't, because you know your value. That's when she looks at you differently. That's when she knows you're not just another man trying to win her approval. Women are emotional by nature. They test, they push, they observe. And what they're really searching for is, can this man handle himself? Can this man handle me? If every time she tests you, you cave in, she learns that you can't handle yourself. She learns that you are led by emotion, not by principle. And once she sees that, respect fades. But when she tests you and you stay calm, when she pushes and you don't break, when she demands and you hold your ground, suddenly she sees your strength. That's what makes her respect you. Self-control also means controlling your time, your emotions, and your energy. It's not just about saying no to her. It's about saying yes to yourself. A man who respects his own time earns respect. A man who has emotional discipline earns respect. A man who doesn't react out of anger or desperation, but out of clarity and confidence, that's the man she takes seriously. The irony is this: the more you sacrifice yourself for her, the less she values you. But the more you control yourself, the more she values what you give. Because when you give out of abundance, it has weight. When you give out of fear, it's worthless. Respect doesn't come from constant sacrifice. It comes from selective giving. It comes from knowing when to hold back and when to offer. Think about leaders, kings, successful men throughout history. Were they respected because they gave up everything for others? Or were they respected because they had the discipline to control themselves, to make decisions, to say no when it mattered? People admire restraint, not recklessness. They admire a man who knows how to master himself. And here's the truth: if you cannot control yourself, you cannot lead anyone else. If you cannot set boundaries, she cannot trust you to protect her. If you cannot discipline your emotions, she cannot rely on you in moments of crisis. Respect comes when she sees you're not just a man in love, you're a man in control. So stop confusing sacrifice with strength. Stop believing that giving her everything will make her respect you. It won't. In fact, it will do the opposite. Respect is born when she knows you can love her without losing yourself. Respect is born when you can give without being drained, when you can love without being controlled, when you can stay present without being desperate, because respect is not earned through sacrifice, it's earned through self-control. And the man who masters himself will always be respected, even in his silence. Chasing diminishes your value, detachment increases it. This is one of the hardest truths for men to accept because everything in society tells you otherwise. Movies show the guy chasing the girl relentlessly until she finally gives in. Songs glorify the man who won't stop pursuing until he wins her heart. You're taught that persistence equals love. But let's be brutally honest. Persistence often equals desperation, and desperation kills attraction. When you chase, what are you really saying? You're saying, I need you more than you need me. You're saying, my worth is defined by your acceptance. You're saying, I will abandon my dignity if it means securing your attention. And deep down, a woman doesn't admire that. She might entertain it, she might enjoy the validation, but she won't respect it. Respect is never born from desperation. Think about it this way. Imagine you walk into a store and see two items. One is being shoved into your hands by the seller, begging you to buy it, offering you discounts, chasing you around the store. The other sits quietly on the shelf, rare, valuable, no push, no pressure. Which one do you believe is more valuable? The one being forced on you, or the one you have to step forward and claim for yourself? Human psychology is simple. What you chase runs, what you stand still for gets drawn in. Women are no different. When you're always chasing, texting first, calling constantly, showing up uninvited, proving yourself again and again, you're showing her that your time, your energy, your presence are cheap. And when something is cheap, it loses value. But when you detach, when you stop forcing connection, when you allow space, suddenly she has to think, she has to wonder, she has to ask, why isn't he chasing me like everyone else? And in that moment, your value rises. Detachment doesn't mean you don't care. It doesn't mean you hate her. It means you're secure enough not to beg. It means you understand that your worth doesn't come from her approval. It means you know you bring something powerful to the table, and if she can't see it, that's her loss. That's the energy that makes a woman respect you. Here's the secret. The less you chase, the more she invests. When you stop running after her, she starts questioning her place in your life. She starts replaying moments in her head, wondering if she's losing you, wondering if she needs to step up. Detachment creates a vacuum, and human beings naturally want to fill that vacuum. That's why when you pull back, she leans in. But chasing does the opposite. Chasing tells her you'll always be there, no matter how she treats you. Chasing removes the challenge. Chasing gives her power she hasn't earned. And once she knows she doesn't have to do anything to keep you, she stops trying. That's when you find yourself ignored, taken for granted, maybe even disrespected. Not because she's cruel, but because your behavior told her you were easy to keep. Detachment, on the other hand, is discipline. It's self-respect. It's the ability to say, I'm not going to devalue myself by running after someone who doesn't meet me halfway. It's choosing silence over begging, choosing absence over overexposure. And when you do that, your presence becomes powerful. She notices when you're around because you're not always around. She values your words because you don't flood her with them. She respects your love because it's not handed out recklessly, it's earned. Let me put it simply. When you chase, you're seeking her validation. When you detach, you're asserting your own. One puts her above you, the other places you as equals, or even in a position of quiet strength. This is why so many men get confused. They think detachment means ignoring her forever or playing mind games. It's not about games. It's about posture. It's about how you carry yourself. It's about knowing you could chase, but choosing not to. You're not withholding affection, you're withholding desperation. That difference is everything. When a man detaches, he gives space for attraction to breathe. He allows mystery to exist. He forces her to realize his presence isn't guaranteed, and scarcity creates value. Just like gold is valuable because it's rare, your attention is valuable when it's rare. That's the power of detachment. So stop chasing. Stop running behind someone who isn't running toward you. Stop thinking your worth increases the harder you try. It doesn't. In fact, the harder you chase, the more invisible you become. Instead, detach. Step back. Hold your ground. Watch how her behavior changes when she realizes you won't beg for her attention, because chasing diminishes your value, but detachment multiplies it. And the man who understands this will never have to run after respect. It will come to him. Detachment reveals strength. Most men confuse attachment with love. They think the more attached they are, the more proof they're giving of their loyalty, their passion, their commitment. But what they don't realize is that attachment, when it becomes dependency, doesn't show strength, it shows weakness. A man who cannot stand on his own feet, who cannot breathe without her presence, who cannot think without her validation, isn't demonstrating love. He's demonstrating fear. And fear will never make a woman respect you. Detachment, on the other hand, shows her something powerful. It shows her that you are not afraid of loss. It shows her that your happiness isn't chained to her moods. It shows her that even though you love her, you will never be controlled by her. That's strength. Look around you. People admire the man who can walk away, not the one who clings. The man who clings communicates insecurity. The man who detaches communicates inner power. Why? Because detachment requires discipline. It requires the ability to feel something deeply but not let it consume you. It requires the ability to love without losing yourself. That's not easy. That's rare. And that rarity commands respect. Detachment also exposes a deeper truth. You cannot be manipulated when you are detached. Most women test men, sometimes consciously, sometimes unconsciously. They want to know, can this man hold his frame? Can he stay calm when I push? Can he stay solid when I pull away? And the answer is revealed in your response. If you chase, panic, beg, or try to force closeness when she withdraws, you fail the test. You show her your emotions control you, not the other way around. But when you detach, when you stay grounded, when you hold your silence with calmness, that's when she knows you are strong. Detachment doesn't mean you're cold. It doesn't mean you're heartless. It doesn't mean you don't care. It means you have mastery over yourself. It means you can feel love but still walk away if respect isn't there. It means you are capable of enjoying intimacy without becoming enslaved to it. That's the kind of man a woman looks at and thinks, this man is different. This man is strong. Think about men in history who were admired. They weren't admired because they clung desperately to people. They were admired because they had the ability to detach, to stand firm in their values, to walk away from temptation, to say no when others said yes. Detachment is the ultimate proof of inner stability. Here's the paradox. The more detached you are, the more attractive you become. Because detachment communicates abundance. It says, I am not afraid of being alone. I am not afraid of silence. I am not afraid of space. And that mindset creates a gravitational pull. She's drawn to you not because you're clinging, but because you're standing strong. Men who can't detach end up drained, bitter, and resentful. They pour everything into her, thinking that constant attachment will secure her love. But instead, It suffocates her. She doesn't see a partner, she sees a man collapsing under his own neediness. But when you detach, you give her room to breathe. You give her the gift of mystery. You give her the space to invest back into you. And in that balance, respect grows. Detachment is also about emotional control. You might feel the urge to argue, to defend yourself, to prove your worth when she doubts you. But strength is in silence. Strength is in restraint. Strength is in knowing that you don't need to react to every emotion thrown your way. That's the posture of a man who knows who he is. Women admire strength, not the kind that comes from muscles alone, but the kind that comes from restraint, composure, discipline, and detachment embodies all three. It says, I am here because I choose to be, not because I need to be. That energy is magnetic. That energy is respected. So understand this. When you cling, you lose power. When you detach, you reveal it. When you chase, you show weakness. When you hold your ground, you show strength. And the man who reveals his strength through detachment will never have to demand respect. It will be given to him freely. Emotional distance creates curiosity. Most men fail to understand this because they think constant availability equals love. They think the more they express, the more they reassure, the more they shower attention, the more she will value them. But here's the truth. When something is always available, it becomes predictable. And what is predictable eventually becomes invisible. Human nature is wired for curiosity. We value what we don't fully understand. We are drawn to what we can't fully figure out. The mystery keeps us engaged, and women are no exception. When you create emotional distance, when you don't reveal every thought, every feeling, every detail, you awaken her curiosity. She starts to think, what's going on in his mind? Why is he so calm? Why doesn't he react the way other men do? That curiosity pulls her in deeper than words ever could. But when you overshare, when you over-explain, when you pour out your heart without pause, you strip yourself of mystery. She knows your every move before you make it. She knows how you'll respond before she even asks. And while she might appreciate the attention in the beginning, over time it dulls her interest. It's not that she's ungrateful. It's that the human mind doesn't respect what it can fully predict. Emotional distance is not coldness. It's not ignoring her. It's not playing games. It's simply balance. It's the ability to hold back enough to keep her intrigued. It's leaving space between your words and your actions so she can wonder, what does he really mean? What is he really feeling? That wondering creates value. Think about this. When you watch a movie and you already know every scene before it happens, you get bored. But when the storyline has suspense, when it leaves questions unanswered, you're glued to the screen. Relationships work the same way. A woman doesn't want a man who's a solved puzzle. She wants a man who keeps her curious, who keeps her mind engaged. And emotional distance is the key. Now let's get something clear. Emotional distance is not withdrawal. It's not shutting down. It's not punishing her with silence. That's immaturity. True emotional distance is strength. It's the ability to stay calm when tested. It's the ability to love without drowning in neediness. It's the discipline of not giving every emotional reaction she expects. That's what keeps her guessing. That's what keeps her invested. When you're always reactive, always texting back instantly, always trying to explain yourself, always desperate to clarify, you make it too easy. She doesn't have to wonder. She doesn't have to chase. She knows she has you wrapped around her finger. And once she feels that, the dynamic shifts. Respect decreases. Attraction fades. Not because she doesn't like you, but because your emotional availability has no balance. At the end of the day, everything I've shared with you comes down to one thing: respect. Respect is the foundation of attraction, the heartbeat of love, the one thing that cannot be faked, bought, or begged for. And yet, Most men chase everything else, validation, affection, approval, while neglecting the one thing that actually matters. Respect doesn't come when you sacrifice yourself endlessly. It comes when you master yourself. Respect doesn't come when you chase her. It comes when you have the courage to detach. Respect doesn't come when you give her everything for free. It comes when you create mystery, when you give her something to be curious about. Respect doesn't come when you cling. It comes when you stand tall enough to let go. And the irony is, the very things men think will win her over, sacrifice, chasing, overgiving, emotional dependency, are the very things that kill her respect. Women don't fall in love with desperation. They fall in love with discipline. They don't admire weakness disguised as love. They admire strength disguised as restraint. And the men who understand this never have to beg for respect. It flows to them naturally. Detachment reveals your strength. Emotional distance creates curiosity. Self-control sets the frame. These aren't just relationship strategies, they're life strategies. Because if you can master yourself in love, you can master yourself in business, in friendships, in every aspect of your life. A man who doesn't lose himself for a woman won't lose himself for money, for status, for approval. He's grounded, he's solid, he's respected everywhere he goes. Women test men. That's the reality. Not because they're cruel, not because they're manipulative, but because they want to know, is this man strong enough to lead? Is this man strong enough to stand on his own? Is this man strong enough to protect me, even from my own emotions? And the only men who pass those tests are the ones who have learned the art of detachment. Respect doesn't come from how much you give her. It comes from how much you respect yourself. If you don't respect your time, why would she? If you don't respect your emotions, why would she? If you don't respect your boundaries, why would she? Respect always starts with you. And here's the final truth. A woman may love you, but if she doesn't respect you, that love won't last. Love without respect is fragile. It breaks the moment things get difficult. But when she respects you, even her love deepens. Respect is the root. Love is the flower. Without the root, the flower dies. So stop begging for approval. Stop proving yourself to someone who doesn't value you. Stop thinking your worth is measured by what you sacrifice. Your worth is measured by what you protect. Your energy, your boundaries, your identity, your peace. The men who are respected aren't the ones who gave everything away. They're the ones who could give but didn't give recklessly. They're the ones who could chase but chose to stand still. They're the ones who could attach but instead revealed their strength through detachment. So hear me clearly. If you want respect, don't give more. Be more. Be more disciplined. Be more controlled. Be more detached. Be more mysterious, be more powerful in your silence than others are in their noise. Because when you stop chasing, when you stop begging, when you stop sacrificing your soul for scraps of attention, you stop being just another man in her life and you become the man she can't forget. Respect is not earned through sacrifice. It's earned through self-control. Chasing diminishes your value, but detachment multiplies it. Detachment reveals your strength, and emotional distance fuels her curiosity. Respect comes when she knows she can lose you, and she will always respect the man who respects himself first.